Welcome. Welcome, so many of you. Welcome to Leuven. Welcome to EAERE 2024. 2 years ago, I think, or even longer, Sandra Rousseau, my colleague and my partner in crime, we decided that we wanted to have EAERE in Belgium. Initially, we thought of Brussels, but in the end, it was much more convenient to have it in Leuven. And that's why you are here now. And we are very happy that 2 years down the line, we are finally at the culmination point of this very long trajectory of preparations. This is a joint effort by many people, and I will thank them individually all at the closing address. I will not do that today, because anyway, then we are also sure that everything went smoothly. Don't worry. I don't worry. I'm very confident everything will be run very, very carefully and very smoothly. Still, I want to spotlight... I want to spotlight our sponsors. So we have a lot of sponsors, and they were really also very necessary. They were necessary in the sense that without them, it's very clear you would have paid even more as a registration fee. So I would like to thank in particular our diamond sponsor, the European Investment Bank, our gold sponsor, the National Bank of Belgium, and our own research group, the research group CEDON, and the University of KU Leuven, who sponsored us by offering the facilities at very low cost or zero cost even. I would also like to thank Deloitte, Stata, the well-known statistics software, and Rhythm, their software distributor house. And especially I want to mention our partners, the science foundations of both Flanders and of the French-speaking community of Belgium, who both are sponsoring this very big conference. And also a lot of thanks to our publishers and exhibitors. So, and also some colleagues of us at the economics department who have been sponsoring generously travel grants for low-income country participants. I would like to spotlight also some events that are related to that. So there is a European Investment Bank sponsored policy session that will take place on Wednesday. There is today during the lunchtime, and I think it's really very interesting to go there, Stata has flown over from the US, one of its main developers, who will give a talk. And that talk will be on discrete choice models. So please, if you are using a lot of Stata and discrete choice models, you can go there, and perhaps you can convince them to include your most fancy estimator in the next release of Stata. And then, of course, also check out our publishers and exhibitors at the Alma lunch area. Then I would like to spotlight a person very particularly, and I'm very happy that he's here. It is Professor Stef Proost. I know that he doesn't like to be in the spotlight, but we caught him. He has no escape here, so he's sitting there. And you should all realize that without Stef, you would probably not be sitting here today. You might be sitting somewhere else in Europe, but definitely not in Leuven. And the reason is that it's Stef who in the 1990s who hired me on a project on what was then called the greenhouse effect, which was at that time still something very fancy and new and somewhat science fiction type of thing. Whereas if you now look at the program, I think in every of the 550 papers and presentations, it's about climate change in some way or another. So thanks, Stef, for hiring me, and that's probably the reason why EAERE is also here now. Not only me, but a couple of years later, he also hired Sandra. So Stef is really, I would say, also one of the founding fathers of the environmental economics field in Belgium, but he's also, of course, a long-standing member of EAERE. He's, I think, one of the most loyal visitors of the conferences that I know of. So, Stef, we are very happy. We're really very happy to have brought EAERE to your hometown. And not only Steph, but I would also like to highlight Professor Henri Tulkens of Leuven. And it's a bit the same story, because after Steph had hired me for a couple of years of PhD, it was Henri who hired me for a postdoc. So again, without him, you would have been sitting in a different university town somewhere in Europe. So thank you also, Henri, and you are also one of the founding fathers, I think, of the environmental economics field, especially at the other side of the linguistic border here in Belgium. Your role has been very important in promoting environmental economics, and EAERE in particular. But in addition, I would also like to pay tribute to another Louvain-la-Neuve environmental economist, the late Professor Thierry Brechet, who most unfortunately, as you probably know, passed away in 2021, much too young. So, but both of them are really the Louvain-la-Neuve environmental economics founding fathers, I would say. It's now time to really start, and you have probably lots of practical questions. Where are bathrooms? Where are lunches? Where do I find faculty club? And so on. What with my presentation? This is the one address. You will see some people with yellow t-shirts. They are there to help you, and they know where to get help if they can't help you directly. So follow them also when we are moving between this room and the main area or campus where all the parallel sessions will be taking place. And now it's really time to get serious. So, and for that, I would like to introduce now the rector of the KU Leuven, Professor Luc Sels. So Professor Luc Sels is rector of the KU Leuven since 2017. He's a member also of all kinds of rector assemblies of several very big European university alliances like EAERE, Coimbra Group, Venice International University, Una Europa, Universitas. So probably chances are high that he's on a board of one of your universities. He's also an honorary professor of Cardiff University, and he holds advisory positions in boards of several universities in Erlangen-Nuremberg, in the National University of Singapore, Korea University, and some more. He's also, until taking up the office as a rector, he was an adjunct professor at the Simon School of the University of Rochester. And before becoming rector, Luc Sels was at the Faculty of Economics and Business of the KU Leuven, first as an ordinary professor in the Department of Work and Organization Studies, but he was later then also elected for 2 terms as a dean of the faculty. His research interests center around labor market projections, active labor market policies. He published in leading journals in the Journal of Organizational Behavior, in Human Resource Management, in Harvard Business Review, MIT Sloan Management Review, and many more. So I'm especially very delighted that Professor Sels accepted our invitation for an opening speech, because as a rector, I think he also raised a lot KU Leuven sustainability ambitions. And for that reason, Luc, I think you are the perfect fit to have a speech here in the opening of our EAERE conference.
So thank you, Johan, for the warm introduction, and a very warm welcome to all of you in the beautiful, small city of Leuven, a hidden gem in Western Europe. I hope you will have some time to explore some of the nicer parts of the city. Welcome at KU Leuven. It's really a privilege and a real true pleasure to welcome you here, in the fact that so many of you traveled long distances, hopefully by train. Tells a lot about the commitment you show to your community in your discipline, but also to the importance of get-togethers such as this EAERE conference. My short presentation will, well, let's say, be divided in 2 parts. First, I will give you a short introduction about KU Leuven and the institution that is hosting this conference. And then next, give you some insight in just a few of the practices that we developed at the level of the university in the broad domain of sustainability. And since images speak much louder than words, I suggest that we start with a short movie, only 2 minutes, on KU Leuven, and that saves me a lot of time on giving you all details about student numbers and so on. It's all in the short video. Here we go. So hopefully helpful to give you some idea about our university and what we stand for today. This is actually the building of our campus in Bruges, the beautiful city of Bruges. As an introduction to a short comment on a few details about the university that are important to understand what we do in the area of sustainability. First of all, we are an independent university, so not a public institution. And that comes with a lot of advantages in terms of organizing our own governance. But more important, a comprehensive university, and that allows us today to build strong transdisciplinary, interdisciplinary initiatives, which is so important for the sustainability agenda. Organized in 3 scientific groups: humanities and social sciences, science, technology and engineering, and then the biomedical sciences. We have, I think, all the well-recognized disciplines recognized by the Flemish government in our case, in our portfolio, except for veterinary medicine. This is our health science campus. A very maybe peculiar feature of KU Leuven is that we are a fully integrated holding organization. So we also have our own university hospital, fully integrated within the same one single legal entity. And this is let's say, the second city in Leuven, our health sciences campus with large clinical operations, but also all research and education related to the biomedical sciences, fully integrated in one single, very important space with, since you study mobility as part of the sustainability agenda in economics, just to give you an idea, every day we see 30,000 people moving back and forth to this campus. So it comes with a lot of pressure in terms of organizing the local mobility in the city. A multi-location university, 12 campuses in 10 different locations. Just for your information, the second largest campus, very well known to Johan and to Sandra, is our campus in Brussels, center of Brussels, where we actually are now acquiring a new site just next to UC Leuven's campus in Brussels, so bringing the two sister universities together again in the city of Brussels. And a final comment about what we stand for today. So we are one of the leading, I can say, I think one of the academic powerhouses in continental Europe, fully integrated, 24,000 employees, if you also include the hospital activity, 64,000 students, 16,000 of them coming from abroad, and always well positioned in the top 50 in, for example, Times Higher Education. Same goes for the hospital. But one element that is, I think, very important to highlight is the #1 position in the Horizon Europe research program since the beginning of the program, both in terms of the number of projects that were awarded to KU Leuven as for the budget that comes with those projects. And I can say that quite a few of the research activities within our international consortia in Horizon Europe are sustainability or environmental in focus and in, let's say, in perspective. A short comment on where we stand in our sustainability ambitions. So as Johan explained, I came in office in 2017, was elected in office. We have an election-based system, and then re-elected in 21. And in 2018, I tabled the first strategic plan, then a renewed strategic plan in 21. And in both plans, so since the beginning, since 2017-18, sustainability has been one of the priority pillars in our strategic orientation. And you can take that, I believe, very seriously. Yeah. And of course, the emphasis on sustainability, balancing the emphasis on becoming a truly international university. I'll come back on that paradox, that dilemma in a minute. Just to give you a few examples of what we try to, there we go. What we try to establish in the domain of environmental sciences, sustainability, and sustainability management within the institution. Maybe for me, the most important transition is actually our own organizational transformation that we are going through here in KU Leuven. So we knew this very traditional, discipline-based vertical organization that you find in almost all comprehensive universities. But we are now gradually trying to change that into a more transversal, horizontal approach to how we organize research, and then maybe also in the next phase, education. The main component of that transformation is the establishment of today already 20 institutes that bring together faculty from all the different faculties and departments within KU Leuven around grand challenges, around important debates, important themes in science today. And the good news for you as an audience, and given the commitment that you show to the sustainability agenda, is that quite a few of these institutes have a strong connection to the sustainability agenda. We recently launched a new institute, the KU Leuven Institute for Energy and Society, looking into the behavioral side of environmental policy. But we also have a strong institute for mobility, a very, very strong, especially in European research, strong institute on sustainable metals and minerals, Sim Square. The Leuven Plant Institute taking care of the biodiversity agenda within our sustainability ambitions. Cultural heritage with a strong agenda on sustainable preservation techniques, for example. And then last but not least, the Urban Studies Institute, looking into sustainability from a very different angle, looking into the developments of larger urban areas. Yeah. So a lot of the research is now today developing within these institutes, and I think this really will boost our reputation, but more important, our contribution to a more sustainable world through our research. Second example, short example, is what we try to develop and to establish within the area of education. We are trying to make sure that every bachelor student at KU Leuven, at some moment in time throughout their 3 years of bachelor studies, are confronted with the main challenges this society is facing. Yeah? And that immediately touches on, of course, our sustainability agenda. One of the courses is Globale uitdagingen voor een duurzame samenleving in Dutch, a course taught in person, actually I think in this auditorium. But it is also available in an open online course format, available on edX, the platform of MIT and Harvard. The next edition will start September 25, so you can prepare over summer if you are interested to take this 16-week course on global challenges for a sustainable society that we now also try to include as a main course for our international audience of students. And then a short comment on what we try to do in terms of our own management within the university, and these are just 2 snapshots of a much wider portfolio of initiatives. We recently decided in our academic council to move to a more stringent travel policy. We already have a long tradition since 2018 of compensating for international travel, but we now made it a bit more stringent in, let's say, 3 different layers. First of all, trying to avoid travel the maximum possible. And then second, shifts promote more environmentally friendly means of transport, where we now say in the new policy that no flights are possible if the location can be reached in less than 8 hours of train travel. So the previous standard was 6 hours. We now changed that into 8 hours. And then collecting a compensation, the compensate ingredient of the plan, a compensation for non-avoidable flights, with returns being used to reduce or offset carbon emissions. That's the compensate umbrella of what we try to realize. We also moved to a new calculator that also takes into account the radiative forcing, and that is, I think, a very important next step in our approach. And then the right side of the slide, you will see if you travel, if you walk through the city of Leuven, that we are a very ancient city with a lot of heritage buildings, especially the university colleges are sometimes, the University Hall, for example, the ground floor is a 14th century building, currently under renovation, and we try to make it fossil-free. Can you imagine what it takes to make a 14th century building fossil-free? That's an ambition, and a lot of hard work and serious investment. The ambition is twofold. First of all, the commitment to have all new buildings completely fossil-free. And then the second, to have in all renovations an ambition to reduce gas consumption by 80%, so make it fossil-poor. Yeah. And let's say, as long as it is not freezing, it is operating in a fossil-free fashion or approach. Yeah. 2 more comments and then I will conclude, if I'm still in time, Johan. Yeah, 1 minute. Okay. We are, as Johan already said in his introduction, participating in quite a few international networks. Una Europa is our main alliance, university alliance, together with a few strong players such as Edinburgh, University College Dublin, Zurich, Helsinki, and a few others. And we have a strong program on developing joint bachelor degrees, let's say kind of the equivalent of the Erasmus Mundus Masters, but then in joint efforts at bachelor's level. We launched the joint bachelor in European Studies last year, but the next year will be the joint bachelor in sustainability. So again, they're very high on the agenda. My final slide, we are a very small city with a very large university. The city wouldn't be the city it is without the university, and the university wouldn't be here without the city. If you take the history, 600 years of history into account. The picture here is a picture of the mayor of Leuven and myself, so it tells a lot about how good the collaboration is. Yeah. Mohamed Ridouani, the current mayor of the city of Leuven, and we have joint ambition to try to make, at least as far as possible, Leuven a climate neutral city by 2030. And we're selected by the European Commission as one of the 100 cities that will be guided throughout that endeavor, that adventure, and that domain of very, very hard work under the umbrella of Leuven 2030. This is my short introduction. I wish you the best of luck. Maybe this final picture you can interpret as an invitation to take some time in between sessions and parallels to visit parts of the hidden gem I talked about before. Enjoy your time here in Leuven, enjoy the conference, and thank you, Johan and Sandra, for bringing it to Leuven. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Luc, for spending a couple of minutes with us, because I know you have a terrible agenda with graduation ceremonies and government negotiations, input, and so on. So thank you very much. Then now I would like to introduce Simone Borghese, the third speaker and the president of EAERE. So, yeah, here is Simone. So Simone is director of the climate area of the Florence School of Regulation at the European University Institute. He is also vice rector of international relations and professor of economics at the University of Siena in Italy. He's the president. He's our boss. He's the president of EAERE. He was secretary general already before of the Policy Outreach Committee of EAERE. He's a research fellow at the Center for Economic and Policy Research, a council member of various international institutions like the Environmental Defense Fund, the Brookings Institute, the World Council also of Environmental and Resource Economists. He's directing also a lot of LIFE projects, and especially on emission trading, and several Horizon and national projects as well. In his research, he deals mainly with emission trading and with climate change, globalization, growth and environmental degradation, dynamic models and evolutionary game theory. So Simone, we're happy that you will now open officially the EAERE conference.
I will. Thank you, Johan. Yeah. Thank you for the nice words. Thank you all for being here. It's fantastic to see you all from here. And it's a great honor as president of the association to open this conference. I'd like to do that, reverting the order, Johan, if you don't mind, by thanking Johan, Sandra, the local organizing committee, the scientific program committee, and also the EAERE Secretariat for the hard work that comes after the curtain, let's say, in the backstage for months. And so we're very thankful for you bringing us here. Every year we gather at the EAERE conference from all over Europe and beyond. And we do this because among all conferences, this is the special one. Like Mourinho. But I'm not going to use football jokes because I'm Italian, okay? Forget about it. We are a solid and growing scientific community. This year we had a record number of submissions, 1,553. We also have a record number of institutional members. So we are not only a healthy association, but I would say an attractive association. But this brings also new challenges, because there is an excess demand at the moment. So we are experimenting new ways to address this excess demand by increasing the supply of online participations, online sessions, both at EAERE and beyond through the year. And we are increasing the number of schools and events for young scholars and other initiatives, as explained yesterday in the General Assembly. I have to say we are navigating uncharted waters, so we learn by doing. We are on the learning curve, but we are confident that we will manage to address these challenges. Our community is growing because we are cool, but also because there are increasing number of environmental problems, and this is not cool at all. Problems like climate change. When I was a student, climate change was a scientific concept. Well, now it's a companion of daily life, I am afraid, an undesirable one. It is visible, it is perceived by the population. So, and it's probably here to stay for a long time. Not only that, we have wars all around us, unfortunately. We have an energy crisis, we have environmental problems like biodiversity. We have also more frequent economic crisis. In front of all this, many jurisdictions reacted with new, more ambitious, more stringent environmental policies that were hardly to imagine some years ago. But this also led to another reaction somehow, led to social protest, think of the Yellow Vest or the farmers' protest more recently, led to populism, led to climate deniers. These new challenges require new actions. First of all, we need a new generation of models, or at least to adjust our models, because the policy questions are changing, and they keep changing. Just to give you an example, adaptation is now urgent because mitigation was not enough. Or carbon dioxide removal will need to be implemented in our models because we did not reduce emissions fast enough. Behavioral changes are urgently needed, and this is going to shape and design also the way we investigate the problems, both in theoretical and empirical terms. New challenges require more attention to the distributional aspects, because we need our environmental policies to be not only efficient, but also feasible. And in my view, feasibility and social acceptability will be the battlefield that will determine whether we'll be successful or not. We will need more interdisciplinarity, but we need it de facto and not only on paper, because environmental problems are by nature interdisciplinary, and they require competence from different disciplines, and that is why we cannot afford to work in silos. We need new ways to communicate our results to the large, broad, general audience, but we also need new ways to communicate with policymakers, a better outreach to policymakers. And I have to say that this is, I can see it's coming. We can help design the most appropriate policies, and we can facilitate the international dialogue among policymakers, which is key, because global problems require global action. If we face all these challenges, I must admit, we can be a bit scared. This looks scary, but we're not scared. We're not scared because we know that we have achieved some remarkable results in studying, understanding, fighting environmental problems. And many of the solutions came at this conference, were born at the EAERE conference, and we should be proud of this. When we look at all these challenges, it looks like we have to climb a high mountain, and this is scary, I must admit, but we are used to climb. We are used to difficulties. I would say difficulties are in our DNA because we study difficult problems, but also because many of us, more aged ones like me, started studying these problems where there were no environmental economics courses around and had to migrate to look for some leading figures that were paving the way to environmental economics. In my case, it was David Pearce, but here we have Steph and Harry. When we think about these challenges, some may think that we are a sort of dismal science squared because we are economists and we study environmental problems. But that is absolutely not what identifies our community. Our community is a cheerful community made up of people who are cheerful because they know that they have the ideas, the solutions, the devotion, the energy, and fresh forces to address these problems. And my last word will go to these fresh forces, to the young scholars that I see here in this room. We need your energy, we need your ideas to shape the future, actually to shape your future in a way. But also because energy and ideas are contagious. Youth, unfortunately, is not contagious. But a young spirit is, and this is what characterizes our association, a very young spirit, where energy and ideas contaminate people. So my wish is that each of you can contribute to our community for many years to come. But even more than that, my wish is that we get contaminated in the conference and that we can share new great ideas in this conference in a cheerful context, in a cheerful environment, because that's what EAERE is about. And on this, I really want to enjoy a great conference. Thank you.